Hey folks, Matt P again. Back down here in the layout room. One of 3 layout rooms. But let's see, boy, what a week. It's been crazy. So I haven't got much done really at all since the last video. At all, for a week. I haven't hardly touched anything. In fact, I don't think I have even ventured in here for anything. You might notice my voice is whacked. I've had one crazy summer cold. The last time I had a cold of any kinds, even the sniffles, was 7 years ago. So I guess my constitution is pretty high. Like in the old Dungeons and Dragons, you know, your strength and intelligence and wisdom and your constitution scores. I think mine's pretty high since I haven't had a cold in that long. But when it hit, it hit. So I've been down and out. I was away prior to the cold for a couple days, and then I got ill, and then a water line in my toilet upstairs started leaking into the basement. Thankfully, not on my workbench, not on any projects, not on the layout, just in front of the door that goes into my workshop. So it's not a big deal. I mean, I had a plumber come out and fix it. We discovered the toilet just needed replaced on top of that, so we did that. But anyhow, so beside all that normal life stuff, then I have my yard aerated and reseeded because it just went to complete garbage this year. It's been going downhill for a couple of years, so time to rehab it. Anyway, I'm feeling better. My voice is still screwy. I'm still sneezing occasionally and got to blow my nose now and again. But I think I'm getting over it. Anyways, hopefully you can see. Here's my pointer. This is what we're going to get into for this video. See this thing? I don't know if you can or not, so I'm going to pick it up and bring it over here. This is an old Walthers plastic. Used to be put together. Background kit. I think it's called, yeah, there it is. It's called Building Number 4. If you look in the Walthers catalog, you can still buy this kit. And it, I think I got it, the horribleness of it, at a train show for like $1. You know, hey, I'll give you $1 for that, for you to get rid of it. And the guy's like, okay, here, take it. So, but it's got the bones, so I can do something with it. And for $1, what the heck? There is no dock, so we're going to have to make one. There is no roof over the dock, so we're going to have to make one. We're going to have to get rid of these decals and crapola and completely repaint this. Take the windows out, repaint them, repaint these doors. There's a missing entryway door here. I looked through my stash of windows and doors. I have quite a pile, but I don't have one that matches that. It's kind of a weird oddball door. And I don't want to just go into Teachy and try to find one from those guys and have them mail me one door. So I think I'll just brick it up and we'll pretend that there's entryways in the back to get into the building. So we'll put brick in there. What else are we going to do with this? We'll need to put more roof detail on the top. This building will not need to be highly detailed as it is a background building. But it is, you know, close enough over here to these other ones that are pretty good detailed. We want it up to about their level, at least. And, yeah, let's see what I can do with it. Be a little tedious. What is nice, sometimes these top pieces where the roof is lower, a lot of times in these plastic kits, these are just plain plastic, which looks silly. These are actual brick on both sides, so that's cool. That's a help. Not much else is a help with it. Then we'll have to put a back on it to prevent the light from shining through or you seeing weird stuff behind it. So, and just put some window treatments in, and yeah, we'll call it a day once we get all that done. Shouldn't be that hard. It's just going to take a little while. I'm gonna have to give this whole thing a coat of primer once I get all the pieces apart and stuff, and we'll get it all re-glued together. Like, this door isn't sitting right. I don't know who made this. Looks like a 5-year-old, really. But whatever. It is what it is. So we're gonna see what we can do with it. So you can just follow on along. I'm gonna go over to the workbench and start hacking this thing up. All right, first step, popped all these windows out of there. They came out pretty easy. Must have been some cheap super glue or something. So, little chisel blade, and they just popped right on out. I only broke 2 of them. That one, completely thrashed. This one here, clean break. I can just glue that back together. Rest of them are good. Doors came out no problem. The glass is kind of just nasty. And I'm just going to pitch this stuff. Excuse my voice, sorry. I'm going to pitch this stuff and put in some, just some thin acetate on the back once I get them all painted up. Alright, so next, I'm not going to bother taking this whole thing apart because there's really no point to it. I can paint it as is, but I am going to get this these decals scraped off of here next. It's probably going to take a combination of a blade and a wire brush and get them off of there. Again, they don't look like they were put on properly, really, with, you know, the solvent and the decal set or whatever. You know, I don't think anybody. This one's put on pretty good. That front one wasn't. This one's a little. That's all right too, but we're gonna get rid of them because we're gonna call it's gonna be a warehouse like it's supposed to be, but we're just gonna call it something else and make a new sign for it. So, all right, be back in a jiffy. Okay, I got the decals off. They came off just with the blade, just scraping them off, no problem at all. I left little marks behind, no biggie. We're going to paint over that. Plus, there's going to be a sign that goes across here anyhow, so I'm not too worried about it. Came off there fine. Had to re-glue a little bit of the walls. They're coming loose a little bit. Who knows how old this thing is. No idea. What else I'm thinking about before I go primer it? Putting mortar in these bricks. First of all, it's already been painted once. Walthers kits, the mortar lines are notoriously shallow. It's going to be real hard to put a wash down that and make it look okay. I don't think it, because once I put another coat of primer on here, it's going to fill in those cracks and those lines even more. So I don't know. Let's just see what happens after I put primer on it. I might do the old trick of using the primer that I spray over the whole building as the mortar. And then, as best I can, dry brush brick color over top of that. So it'll be interesting, but we'll see. All right, so let me go get some primer on this. First, I got to give it a bath, though. It's kind of dusty. So here it is, primered up. I got the windows and those doors primered, or upstairs, outside in the garage, drying. Now, just playing around here on the corner, trying to see how I want to simulate mortar lines with this. First of all, it's gray. And what I did, let's try to get in here, if I can, zoom. This is just literally, sorry for the shakiness. It's hard to hold this still enough, zoomed in this far. But really, what I did is just dry brushed. I put some paint on a flat brush. That looks like, let's back out now. That one. Just some paint on here. And then just taking a lot of it off. Doing this one-handed, like I do half my videos, it seems. Okay, there we go. So there's just a little bit of paint on the brush. And now let's try it up in here. See if we can do this. Actually, let me get a tripod and get some steadiness on this. Hang on. It's a pain in the you-know-what, trying to get the lighting somewhat right. Adjusting the phone so that you can somewhat see what I'm doing. Alright, I got some paint on a little too much. Get some off. Some paint on this flat brush, this old one. Really, all I'm going to do is just skim over the top of the brick. This is a burnt sienna Anita's acrylic craft paint. It's a good basic brick color. Let's see how this shows up. Once it dries, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Boy, is that hard to get in focus there. But anyhow, you can see the quote mortar lines in there, gray. And I'm going to do the whole thing like that. Another way you could do it is paint the whole thing, like spray paint it a whole brick color, and then go in with a watered down wash, like of an off-white or a very light gray, maybe with some flow agent added to it, like a little dish soap or something. And you might need to do several applications on that, but you can brush it over, and that stuff will sink down into the mortar lines and create a nice effect as it kind of capillaries out between the bricks. Now, this particular kit, being as it was already painted, now it's primered again, so the mortar line's pretty well filled in, so it makes it kind of hard to do that. I'm not sure how well that would work, and I didn't feel like bothering to try it. I could end up having to do multiple applications. Another way would be to, like I say, paint it the brick color originally, just spray paint the whole thing, and then use spackling paste on the end of your finger, or tint some spackling paste a little gray, light gray, and just rub it in with your finger, and then buff the top of the surface off with like a wet towel or a wet sponge or something. I've done all that stuff, and it works, and it really depends on the surface. But being this one as it is, this is the way I think I'm going to have to do it. It's going to be kind of less of a pain. Once I go in and brush it all, and I will go back in over individual bricks with a darker paint and just hit each individual, like a bunch of individuals randomly throughout it, just to kind of give it a little variation. So that'll look hopefully pretty good. I'll go in with like a darker, like a brownish red here and there, just random bricks. So, but let me get this thing painted up first, then we'll be back at you. All right, here we are with the brickwork done, other than weathering, but we got it all painted up. I got bricks here and there that are slightly different shades, add a little variation to it. I'm feeling much better, thank you very much. In the middle of Labor Day weekend, today's, I don't know what it is, Saturday, and we go from like 100 degrees to feeling like the middle of fall out there. Very strange weather in PA. But yes. All right, back to this. All right, now that the brickwork's done, still a little stopped up in the nose, so my voice might be a little strange. That's all right. It's all working out of me real quick. All right, we got to do the, what do they call these, lintels? Around the windows, the windowsills, window frames, that part, the ridge cap, do the steps, this gray base behind the steps. I'm not going to worry about this because that'll be covered up by a loading dock, so I can just stay looking as is. So yeah, let me get that done. And we'll also get these painted up. So that'll be the next segment. Oh, since it is Labor Day weekend, you probably won't see this probably till after Labor Day weekend, so I hope everybody had a really nice one. Got to spend some time with their friends, family, took some time off from working or whatever you're doing, and got a little time to run some trains or do a little modeling. So, alrighty, I'll be back. That phase is done. Made sure that I got inside the frames as well, and on top of the sills and underneath the top part of the frame. So got that done the whole way around, all three sides. And what I used was a Safari taupe from Anita's and a desert sand from Deco Art. I mixed them two together to come up with that color. I used the same thing on the steps and on the base and over there in that base. But I'm probably going to add another shade of something over that just to kind of differentiate the color between that and that. But in the meantime, I'm going to get on these windows. Alright, leaving the original gray primer on. All I did was take a piece of a sponge and some of this paint. No, I forget the name of it. Oh, it's called Iced Coffee from Folk Art. Just lightly dabbed it over top here and there, randomly. And I don't know if you can see very well. Yeah, you probably can. It just looks like a worn window frame. So that'll look pretty cool. Now this outer edge, you don't really need to worry about because that will be on the inside of the building. That's the gluing surface on the very edge. So all you'll see is the frame part, if you know what I mean. Well, you'll see once it's in the building. All right, window glasses in on these big pieces. They're scale 6C feet by 7 feet. Squares I just cut out. Well, I guess that's kind of a rectangle. Squares I just cut out of a sheet of acetate and glued it on. Each individual one. These ones here, just gluing the backside straight onto the sheet, and then once it's dry here, I'll just cut it out with a pair of scissors. Excuse me. And this, we're going to give this a metallic sheen on these doors. There's 4 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to use this, or I am using this silver sterling metallic folk art multi-surface craft paint to get it to its initial shininess, and then we're going to add some rust and dull it down some, and hopefully still try to preserve the fact that it should be metal and it'll look metal. So all the joys of turning plastic into stuff. All right, I'll be back here after I get these painted up with this silver. All right, these doors right now, I'm just adding some colorization to them with pan pastels. As you can see here, several different ones. I started with this darker one back here. Just added, oh, you can see just randomly splotches here and there and everywhere. Now I'm going to go over these darker parts again with this reddish, rusty colored one. Add some streaking. Something like that. Trying to set it up here so you can see it, but I may not be successful at this without the old tripod. No use setting it up for a minute. All right, so once I add that on there, then I'm going to take a softer brush, just kind of streak them down. Maybe it's easier to see it like this. I don't know. We'll give it a try. Is that in focus? No. Kind of, sort of. So just gonna add streaks and stuff like that throughout all of them, and come back with a little bit of our brand new rusty looking one, a little bit here and there. All right, so here they are with a little bit of orange tint added to them. If you get in close, you can see it maybe a little better. So I'm trying to still retain the appearance that it is metal under that. So now what I'm going to do is take some of these weathering powders here, actually the dark brown a little bit, and go around the bottom like a dirt and smudges, and maybe a bit at the top as well. So here the doors are glued in. Now I'm going to go get some lunch and come back and get these windows glued in. I still have to come up with something to brick this wall or that doorway up with. And once I do that and get the windows in, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna make a dock. I'm gonna have to scratch build one. Cover up that strangeness there. So yeah. Alright, off for lunch. We shall return. Alright, here's the door bricked up. Just from a piece of plastic from some old kit in my scrap box. So I just glued it to the back side, and I opted to go with a different brick color than the main one on the building to show that it's, well, I don't know, different. Alright, so there, and then on the other side, I have no clue where my other window went. I had another, I'm short a window, one of these. I don't know whether it was there or not, or if I just missed it, or if it went flying somewhere. I don't know. But anyhow, went ahead and boarded it up rather than tear my shop apart. So I got to get in here and fix this brick color in here. Didn't notice that earlier that I had gotten a little carried away, I guess, with the paintbrush. I got too much of the concrete or color into the brick. So I'll go back and repaint that quick. Yeah. Alright. We'll do that, and then I'm going to get onto this dock. And this is why I never threw out the carrying sheets from the wall sections on wood kits and stuff. Because I still got material I can use for things, such as a that. So that'll be the top. I'm going to have to go in here and score individual board, or lines in there where the ends of the boards would butt together. So I'm going to just do that with my hobby knife. I'm going to have to glue these two together. I didn't know one that was long enough, so I need to glue these two together. I'll put a brace underneath it to help hold it steady and still. Just glue a piece of wood there and butt those two together. Rough it up, stain it. I got to come up with what I'm going to use for legs. That I'm not 100% sure of, and I actually might have to run to Hobby Lobby to get some more wood. Don't know, but I'll see here when I get into her a little more. I'm in luck. Found some wood that'll work for legs. I don't have to go battle traffic to get to Hobby Lobby today. So I'll have to measure how tall this will be. I'll put one there, I'll put one there, one there, one there, etc. Whole way down, spacing them out. There'll be a cross brace that goes between the two on the ends. There and down there, there'll be a cross brace, and then there'll be cross braces the whole length of this thing. I have other wood, a smaller one that I'll use for the cross braces. But this one will work. What I think I will do is end this video now and make this a two-parter. So the second part will finish it up with the dock, whatever I decide to do about a roof over the dock. The roof, Still needs redone and some details added. Other details on the building itself, a sign, that kind of stuff. So if I was to do all that stuff plus what I've already done in a video, it would be a pretty darn long one. And if you know me by now, I don't really like having, or even for myself watching, super long videos. Look where I forgot to put glue. Well, I'll glue that back in. Anyway, yeah, that and it's been quite a long time between this and my previous video, and I don't like to let the channel go dormant for too darn long. I try to post one every week or week and a half, sometimes more, usually not less. Just that everything that happened, what I mentioned before, life things get in the way sometimes. So I do want to get this knocked out. So we'll do that on episode number 2 of this rehab on this old Walthers kit. And that's it. We'll call it a wrap on this one. So thank you very much for being here. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Hit the little bell if you want to be notified every time I put one up. And that's that. So, again, thanks for coming along. I appreciate you all very much so. So, until the next one, bye-bye, folks.